Hi friends, my name is Mia and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a book haul. I bought a lot of books from the recent book outlet sale, and then I also wanted to show you all of the library books that I decided to borrow. Some of the books on here are books for a certain video, and then the other books I just picked up either because they looked interesting or there were books that I saw a lot on the internet and wanted to read. Let's get into the haul. What do I want to start with? I don't know. We're going to start with the books I borrowed from the library first. Starting off, I did pick up The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. I am a huge lover of the Midnight Library, so I want to pick up more of his books. I believe this is his newest release, so I'm very intrigued in reading this. Then, this was one of my most anticipated books for, I believe, February, and it was called The Crime Brulee Bake Off by Rebecca Connolly. And supposedly, this is a book that is a murder mystery that surrounds this baking show similar to the Great British Bake Off. So I was intrigued. The next book I picked up was Between Friends and Lovers by Shirlene Obuobi. And I actually read On Rotation, and that was written by the same author. And I didn't love it, but I've heard amazing things about this book, so I thought I would give this one a try. The next book I have is Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey, and this is the third book in the Big Shots romance standalone series. I personally didn't love the Au Pair Affair, but I want to continue reading the series because I started it, and also I'm kind of interested in the characters that were going to be featured in this book. The next book we have is The Infinity Alchemist by Case and Calendar, which you guys already saw in my picking out my TBR for the month of March video. I'm a huge Case and Calendar fan, and this is their fantasy, young adult fantasy series or fantasy book. I don't know if this is a series or not, but I'm really excited about this one because I have never read a fantasy written by Case Calendar. I figured this would be a great place to start. The next book I have is The Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings. This is also a young adult fantasy with forbidden love and dangerous magic, it says. I think it's set during the Harlem Renaissance, so it's like a historical fantasy, which I'm intrigued. The next book I picked up was I'm So Not Over You by Kosoko Jackson, and this is supposed to be a second chance M&M romance. The next book I picked up was Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This is supposed to be a horror book, and I've seen a lot of people rave about this book, so I'm very interested in reading it. I'm not a big horror person, but I do have some of my favorite horror authors that I will always go to read for horror. For example, Grady Hendrix, if he comes out with a book, I definitely want to pick it up because I am obsessed with the Southern Girls Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Like, definitely, if you are not into horror, that book is really good. I've heard really good things about this one, so figured I would give it a try. The next book I have on this list is In a New York Minute by Kate Spencer, and this is also, I believe, a romance book, but it's set in New York City, so I had to pick it up. So the next set of books are actually for a video idea that I've been toying with for the past maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I'm finally getting around to filming it. In the comments, let me know what you think this video idea is. The first book we have is When It All Syncs Up by Maya Amia, and this is supposed to follow a black ballet dancer who ends up not getting the apprenticeship, and she ends up visiting her best friend and ends up going to their school, which was a performing arts school. I don't know, but I was intrigued by the cover and the title and the description, so I figured this would be great for that. Then I have Tour de Force by Elizabeth White. I know nothing about this book, but I thought it would fit the prompt. The next book I have is They're Going to Love You by Meg Howry. And I've actually been staring at this book for such a long time. Like, every time I go into the bookstore, or mostly the Strand, honestly, this book always catches my eye. So I wanted to give it a read first before I ended up committing and purchasing it. The next book I picked up was Tiny Pretty Things. So this was actually adapted to a TV show a couple of years ago, and I've already watched the TV show, but I think the books have a solidified ending compared to what the TV show did, where they like kind of left you off on a cliffhanger. So I do want to read the books, and I believe there's a book 2 in this, so I'll definitely pick that up too at some point. Then we have The Humble Lovers by Edmund White, and this is supposed to follow an older man and a dancer that is at the New York City Ballet, and I believe it's supposed to be like a love story of some sort. Then we have Dance of Dolls by Lucy Ash, and this is supposed to be, I think, a historical fiction, historical thriller, I believe. So the next book that I have is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and this is a very popular book, I believe. It just recently came out, I think, sometime last year, and everyone was raving about it, trying to get a copy of it. I literally tried to borrow this from the library, and there was like, I felt like 1,000 people ahead of me. I am not the biggest Sally Rooney fan. I thought Normal People was okay. I didn't like Conversations with Friends, but I wanted to still read some of the books from this author, but without the commitment of purchasing the book. So we borrowed it from the library. I haven't heard too many things about this book. I don't know if a lot of people loved it or hated it. We shall see. Now let's get into the books that I've purchased. So I participated in the book outlet sale. I love the book outlet sale. I love book outlet, honestly. The first book I have is Sex, Lies, and Sensibilities by Nikki Payne. I actually read another book by this author called Pride and Protest. That one was more of a Pride and Prejudice modern reimagining, and I believe this is a Sense and Sensibility modern reimagining. Then we have Blood, Water, Paint by Joy McCullough. I don't know what this is about, honestly, but the cover looked really interesting. I love really cool like art covers. Then we have The Other Side of Perfect by Mariko Turk. This is also going to be in one of the videos that I was talking about earlier, so stay tuned for that. Then we have Zyla and Kai by Christina Forrest, and this is the only Christina Forrest book I haven't read slash I didn't own, so I figured might as well pick it up. I believe this is a young adult romance between two high school seniors, if I'm not mistaken. Then we have Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, and this is her STEM novella collection, which I've already read, but I wanted a physical copy of it. The next book I have is a middle grade book, and it's called Hazel Bly and the Deep Blue Sea by Ashley Herring Blake. I read her other one, and it's called The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James or something like that. That one was really cute. Highly recommend. I've heard good things about this one too, so I figured I would give this one a try. The next book I have is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I liked The Bodyguard. I haven't read Hello Stranger yet, but I couldn't pass up on this book because it has really pretty sprayed edges. Then I picked up Binti by Nindi Okorafor, and this is supposed to be a sci-fi novella. I don't know too much about this book, but I know a lot of people have read it, and it's really short. Like, it's not long at all. Then I picked up The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter, which I've already read. I actually borrowed it from the library initially, and I really liked it. And I believe there's a second book coming out soon, so I definitely wanted to get my own copy of this. Then I picked up You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao, and I think he's also coming out with another book this year. I don't know what date or anything, but I've heard amazing things about this book, and I believe this is a young adult romance. The next book I have is Four Eids and a Funeral by these two authors. I don't want to butcher their names, but one of the authors that wrote this book was actually the author of Ace of Spades. So I'm interested in reading this because this looks like a young adult love story, and I don't think I've read a book by that author that was a romance. So I'm really interested in reading this one. Then I picked up Let the Games Begin by Rafaro Faith Mazarora. It says, Let the Games Begin is a page-turning rom-com debut about two strangers at the top of their game. Is it set in Greece? I don't know, but I'm excited. I like the premise of that. And then the last book I picked up from Book Outlet was The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armaz. And this is the same author who wrote The Long Game and The Spanish Love Deception. I liked The Long Game. I didn't love The Spanish Love Deception, but we'll see if I like this one. Then I have 4 other books. 2 are from Book of the Month, and the other 3 I just bought on a whim randomly. But the first one is Oathbound, which I talked about in my March TBR video, but I've already started it. I'm like, I think about like maybe 30% of the way through, so I'm not very far, but so far, it's good. Then I picked up Kimberly Lemon's new book. It's called I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com. I loved the Mead Mishap series, so I'm really excited that this is it looks like it's going to be like a new romance paranormal standalone series. Then I realized I wanted to read some more books by Alexis Hall because I really loved Lady for a Duke. It's one of my favorite historical romances ever. I picked up Glitterland, and I just thought the cover was really cute. It says, "In the past, the universe is a glitter ball I hold in the palm of my hand. In the past, I am brilliant, I am happy, and every tomorrow is madness. In the past, I am soaring and falling and breaking and lost. And now there is only this." Ooh, I love it already. Then let's talk about my book of the month picks. So, because I am a BFF at book of the month, I was able to pick the March books, and then I was also able to pick the 2024 like finalists, and there were a couple of options. So for the March finalist pick, I ended up picking up The Wedding People by Alison Espach. I'm not pronouncing the last name right, but I've heard everyone rave about this book, so I'm very intrigued in reading this story. And then the last book I picked up from Book of the Month was Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. The premise of this book just seems interesting. It looks like it's a romantasy. It says they loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They killed each other in every one. That hurts my soul. Those are all the books that I got from Book of the Month, Barnes and Noble, the library. I'm gonna try and get better at doing more book hauls because I do accumulate books and I always forget to show them on camera. But if you enjoyed this video, I would love if you would click the like button down below. And if you're not already, I would love if you would subscribe and click the notification bell so you can get notified when I post. Keep on reading, y'all.